to the second topic, which is virtual exchange, mobility, schemas, and projects. As you know, internationalization and the expansion of digital teaching are two developments that are mutually dependent and complement to each other, and they should be ideally true in parallel. So even before the coronavirus crisis, there were projects and initiatives in which new concepts for virtual exchange were developed and tested. And on this second session, we will focus on the case of the Corporación Universitaria, Corporación Universitaria UNIMINUTO in Colombia, in Bogota. And I'm pleased to welcome Doris Bermudez, which is the head of international relations of UNIMINUTO University. And she will share her experience of one of these projects that have been implemented in her university.
Hi everyone. Bonjour Nicolas. Merci pour l'invitation. Good morning, good afternoon, and even good evening for some of you in the other side of the world. Thank you again for the invitation to participate in this international forum around digitalization and internationalization organized by the IFCU. It is a pleasure for me to be here. As mentioned, Nicolas, I am Doris Bermudez, and I am the head of the Global Affairs Office at Minuto, Colombia. So I have divided my presentation into 4 parts. First of all, I'm going to talk about the context of internationalization and technology. After that, I'm going to talk about UNIMINUTO. Then I'm going to focus on our international strategic plan. And finally, I will mention what I consider are the challenges and opportunities of a hybrid model. So let's start with some features of the context of internationalization and digitalization. When we talk about internationalization, we usually talk about its link with a globalized world, right? Globalization seen as a growing interdependence of our society, which is not new, of course, but that directly concerns us in our daily lives in one way or another. When we speak of globalization, we speak, for instance, of the local implications of a political change on the other side of the world. We also talk about a global agenda planned to be implemented by 2030 around 17 sustainable development goals. And the thing is, we are in a moment that transcends borders, a moment in which we are all actors, we are all invited to participate, to take part beyond the leadership of our governments. And since 2016, we have also talked about a new concept that was used for the first time in the framework of the World Economic Forum that year, the fourth revolution. And thus, we began to talk about the impact of digital transformation in our lives. After all, technology has arrived to provide us with new forms of interaction and to drive us to innovate in all areas of our society. Thanks to this accelerated process of automation and digital transformation in the labor market, we have also been encouraged to talk about digital transformation within our higher education institutions and to reflect on our role in the training of global citizens. We have seen how a serious global public health problem has become a challenge and an opportunity for us through our internationalization strategies. It has inspired us to leverage these tools of technology and to promote the development of a global thinking in our classrooms. Today, our educational and pedagogical models are impacted by the demand of a labor market that requires professionals with new skills, for example, learn to learn, critical thinking, and complex problem solving, just to mention some of them. Within this context, the internationalization of higher education has acquired a greater relevance, increasingly shaping the ethos of the institutions, as Hotzig mentioned it back in 2011. So if the relation between globalization, internationalization of higher education, and technology is analyzed, this would lead us to think that there is an opportunity for the democratization of education, and why not for internationalization? For example, through the offer of MOOCs and certificates in a scenario in which traditional educational models and the new exponential ones coexist. And yet, it seems that even before the pandemic, there was an underutilization of the potential of virtuality for the purposes of internationalization. We could think that in part, this could be due to the regulatory frameworks for quality assurance because of rankings and other activities that have been prioritized. In 2017, Brun proposes the concept of virtual internationalization based on the definition of Jane Knight, probably known by all of us in 2003. This concept seeks to add the support of the activities in information technologies, without ignoring the experience that a person who participates in an international activity abroad may have. Talking about virtual internationalization allows us to encourage more innovation in the classroom through the teaching, learning, and evaluation process, thanks to many open online resources. It allows us to promote the development of digital and intercultural skills just a click away, in a manner of speaking, and contribute to the comprehensive training of professionals who will face a dynamic and a globalized labor market. Now that we have seen a brief context of internationalization and technology, let us turn to UNIMINUTO. UNIMINUTO is a private multi-campus university system with a presence in 67 points of operation in 23 of the 32 departments of the Colombian territory. Founded in 1992, the institution was born with the purpose of providing education for all. For this, it has implemented several strategies to achieve this purpose. Among them, first, the diversification of the offer in different modalities to reach coverage goals. Second, relevance, by working jointly with allies from the public and private sector to better understand the needs of the labor market for each region, with the purpose to offer relevant programs according to the context. And of course, this leads to better employability conditions for our students. And third, affordability through scholarships, subsidies, and educational loans. Thanks to these strategies, today we have more than 140 academic programs ranging from professional technical level to master's degree, offered in face-to-face, distance, and virtual modalities. With more than 90,000 students throughout the country, UNIMINUTO has been successful in its mission to reach students who find it difficult to access tertiary education. And more importantly, 97% of our students come from lower income backgrounds, and 66% of our student population is enrolled in distance programs. And this context poses great challenges for any international relations office. But still, recognizing the implicit challenges, there is a great institutional commitment. And therefore, 15 years ago, a first office was established in the institution in which international cooperation was mainly promoted and the first alliances were generated. Over the years, the office became more dynamic and new partnerships are made, and the first results of traditional mobility are given. However, a few years ago, a new internationalization strategy is proposed. With this new model, we have structured a comprehensive internationalization concept, seeking for a more inclusive plan. This strategy is today embodied in the International Strategic Plan, which defines the roadmap for promoting internationalization as a cross-cutting element in the institution. We have defined internationalization as a process that enables the incorporation of international, intercultural, and global dimensions in the core of the institution. For us, internationalization should be a way to contribute to the social transformation and leverages digital technologies for its purposes. For these, 4 pillars have been defined, each one with a specific objective, but interconnected with each other, forming like a gear around the missional functions with the support of some enablers. We have been working in the internationalization of the curriculum, in activities for a global community, in initiatives for the development of intercultural competencies, and in the visibility by fostering the internationalization of research, of science, and the dissemination of our work in social innovation, social responsibility, and the advance of the SDGs prioritized according to our mission. Now, I would like to move to some of our initiatives towards a hybrid internationalization. One of the first adventures was COIL. Back in 2018, we explored this methodology thanks to our participation in an international network. Since it was something related directly to the teaching and learning process, I invited the Teaching and Learning Center to join me in this initiative. In the beginning, it was a centralized process in which faculty were trained and guided online by people from the Teaching and Learning Center. And at that moment, it was so challenging. It was hard to motivate teachers and the leadership. So for the first year, we had less than 20 projects. But then the pandemic arrived, and this strategy needed to be changed so it could grow and get more relevance. We looked for decentralizing the process, so we structured a whole program named the Global Learning Program, in which we trained a group of staff to be what we call pedagogical advisors. Then we started an awareness campaign, not only for faculty members, but also for program directors. Currently, the Global Learning program gives a framework for teachers to participate and empowers global affairs leaders at different campuses at a national level. In a second moment, COIL is included explicitly in the new institutional educational project and consequently in the new internationalization policy. This was essential to transfer and create capacity in the campuses. Today, within the Global Learning Program, we have implemented more than 150 projects led by more than 290 faculty with the participation of more than 5,000 students from different countries. A second strategy was virtual mobility, understood as an alternative for students to take some of their courses in a virtual mode with a national or international partner. But how did it start? Along with other few universities, we started thinking about a way to offer a different cultural and international experience at no cost for those students who couldn't afford a trip abroad or who couldn't leave their jobs or families for a long period. This initiative was born within another international network that supported us to go ahead. In the beginning, we were a few universities, mainly in Colombia, with few students taking part. And just like in the Global Learning Program, when the pandemic arrived, we already have a program running. We already knew which were the lessons learned, and we could keep offering an alternative of international experience for our students. Today, we are part of 4 programs of virtual mobility offered by 4 international networks. And since the beginning of this alternative, more than 350 students have participated in one or another program. As part of our contribution to the professional development of our faculty members, we looked for online training programs as the way we could gather teachers from different campuses and at the same time without traveling. We started a program focused on research and dissemination in 2018, which is still offered every summer. Additionally, other virtual professional development trainings were set up related to curriculum, innovation, and internationalization. But what did mean 2020 for our strategy? Well, as all of us here today, we needed to reimagine most of our strategies. But just I mentioned it before, going on remote or virtual mode has allowed us to innovate and keep thinking about new activities for an inclusive internationalization at UNIMINUTO. We created more digital content for internationalization at home activities. We strengthened the English lab as a space to practice English online for students, alumni, faculty, and administrative staff. We reimagined the summer and winter school model, delivering talks, workshops, and courses on remote mode. As a result, more than 2,200 students attended the last two versions, in which we had more than 70 national and international experts invited. We have also promoted virtual research stays for our students, and last year we have launched a first international short course on virtual mode. So this diversification of internationalization actions is reflected in the increase in face-to-face or traditional mobility of the entire community. And it is important to also speak in terms of traditional mobility because it continues to be a relevant component of internationalization. As a result, there was a 486% increase in student mobility between 2016 and 2019, before the pandemic, of course, and a 588% increase in teacher mobility for the same period. And finally, thanks to the leverage of technology and communication tools, we have had a greater scope of our activities within the academic community. In the last 2 years, we had more than 8,000 students registrations and more than 2,000 teacher registrations, meaning that they were all participating in any of the virtual activities. But internationalization mediated by virtuality or virtual internationalization continues to pose some challenges while representing new opportunities. It remains a challenge to keep educating for changing paradigms regarding virtual experiences, for example. There is a lot to do for generating greater motivation among students and teachers to participate in activities, particularly in terms of virtual mobility. We continue to reflect on how to create a comprehensive and meaningful and interactive experience for our communities. But on the other hand, we have seen how internationalization mediated by virtuality drives the development of proposals for pedagogical innovations supported by ICT. We have taken advantage of a world without borders, thanks to a virtuality that has opened new spaces for partnering with countries that we might have not imagined before. And we have seen how networking and collaborative work has been strengthened among our institutions, teachers, and students. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I'll be glad to keep in touch with those interested in partnering. On the screen, you see my email and the website to know more about UNIMINUTO. Thank you so much.